You want to turn? Just waiting for Mabel. Where's Mabel? Get started. Wait for Mabel or just get started? Get started. Yep. Hmm? Yep. Okay.
Are you on secure? Your email address back.
All set? All right. This meeting is called to order. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Board of Education for Farmington Public Schools on Tuesday, August 15th, 2023. Could we please have a roll call? Mr. Rich?
Ms. Fox? Ms. Weems?
Here.
Ms. Smith?
Here.
Ms. Heinrich?
Here.
I myself am here. Dr. Blau?
I'm here.
You have a quorum. Mr. Walker is absent tonight.
Thank you. Let us all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We begin this evening with recognitions. Dr. Delgado?
Thank you, Dr. Blau. It is my pleasure to invite up to the podium our wonderful Assistant Superintendent of Talent Development, Mr. Brad Paddock, for a very special announcement.
Thank you. Good evening, Dr. Delgado and the Board of Education. Welcome back, President Blau and fellow board members, to what promises to be a wonderful year ahead for Farmington Public Schools. Since our last meeting, last school year, the HR department has been working tirelessly, and we are in full hiring mode getting ready for this school year. Connected to your later consent agenda this evening, I'd like to introduce to you this evening one of the very best hires since the time that we last were together in this room. It is a pleasure to stand in front of you this evening and make this leadership announcement and introduction. At this time, I would like to ask Ms. Onisia Martin to please come forward and join alongside me as I say a few words this evening. Thank you. On May 29th, we began screening submitted cover letters and resumes of approximately 19 applicants in search of the next supervisor of special education in an effort to fill the vacancy left by Ms. Shelley Cole, who retired at the end of last school year. This posting captured the attention of the greater Tri-County area from applicants looking to join our FPS family community, especially our awesome special education department. After this initial screening, we began the thorough process of in-person interviews with 4 candidates. The first round interview was with our central office cabinet team. The second round was with a very attentive and caring group of stakeholders consisting of 21 participants made up of staff, parents, students, and additional central office staff. The third round was a one-on-one interview with an outside educationally based talent company looking for and identifying key interpersonal strengths specific to school leadership. And to wrap up that process, the fourth and final round consisted of questions asked by Dr. Delgado, Dr. Moore, and me. Onisia currently serves as the Mental Health Program Coordinator for Farmington Public Schools and has been in that role since August of '22. Prior to this role, she served as a school social worker in the district since 2015. Onisia earned her Bachelor's of Arts in Social Work and African American Studies from the University of Oklahoma, her Master's in Social Work from the University of Michigan, and soon will have her Administrative Certificate from Grand Valley State University. Dr. Lydia Moore, Farmington's Executive Director of Special Education, said the following to me when we were discussing Onisia in this new role. Throughout her time in Farmington Public Schools, Ms. Martin has proven herself to be a strong advocate for our students with special needs. Her passion and commitment to each learner, as well as her values as a leader, will certainly benefit the entire Farmington Public Schools Committee. Onisia, on behalf of Dr. Delgado and the Cabinet Leadership Team, I want to thank you for your future commitment to our Special Education Services team and for the great work that you will be doing and providing to our students, your colleagues, and the entire department of the special education here to make Farmington the very best place. Please join me and feel free in congratulating Ms. Onisia Martin for being selected as the new Farmington Public Schools Supervisor of Special Education and joining the leadership team family. Congratulations.
Thank you. I just want to take a moment to say thank you to Dr. Delgado as well as to the board, as well as to Dr. Moore and my special education team. I look forward to continuing to grow in this leadership opportunity as well as supporting the students and staff in this community. Thank you.
Awesome. Congratulations. Next, we have the approval of the agenda. Yes, Ms. Hein?
I move that we approve the agenda for the regular Board of Education meeting Tuesday, August 15th, 2023, as written.
Yes. No, just tonight's meeting. Are you seconding?
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Okay, motion by Ms. Heinrich, seconded by Ms. Smith. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Okay, I have some exciting announcements to share. First of all, welcome back, colleagues and community members alike. Over the summer, we had some wonderful things happen. Most recently, last Tuesday evening, we had an opportunity to hold a joint meeting together with the City Council and Mayor of Farmington and the City Council and Mayor of Farmington Hills. This was something that was standard practice at some point in the past, and we were happy to host the first of these joint meetings in quite some time. It was wonderful to begin to build new relationships with our fellow community leaders and to share what our goals are coming up this year, as well as to find areas of overlap and brainstorm ways in which we might support one another's initiatives on behalf of our communities. So we are grateful to our city council members and mayors for making the time to be with us for those conversations last Tuesday evening. We also, our board, received an award earlier this summer. This is the Michigan Association of School Boards. It is the Standard of Excellence Board Award awarded when all board members achieve a certain award level, and there are spaces for us to continue to receive this award in coming years. So congratulations to our board for this amazing accomplishment. The Michigan Association of School Board offers all sorts of workshops and other learning opportunities for board members from throughout the state of Michigan. And we are lucky that we have such a committed board, as all 7 of us frequently take these courses. So I thank my board members for your continued engagement in further learning. And Mr. Donald Walker, who is not here with us this evening, he also achieved level 2 of his certification of MASB coursework. So congratulations to Mr. Walker. Also, I just on Friday attended the MASB Summer Institute, and I took a course on parliamentary procedure. So at our upcoming retreat, we'll have an opportunity to revisit our current board policies and procedures around how we run our meetings and see if there are any updates or changes we wish to make. Let's see. I think that's all I have for my announcements today. So, as we step into the coming school year, we are very excited about the new initiatives that we're rolling out this year, and can't wait to see what the future holds for our district. Next, we have items from the secretary, Mr. Rich.
Thank you. The board has received communications regarding a student's behavioral concern, repurposing the FHS wrestling room, Lanigan's Summer Learning Program Share Day, suggestions for board goals, comments on goal progress, and a virtual presentation to the cities. The board acknowledges communications and responds when appropriate. A list of correspondence can be found in the board packet accessible on the FPS website.
Thank you, Mr. Rich. Next, we have our legislative update. Mr. Rich?
All right, so just a few quick things. A lot of has happened since our last meeting, essentially just of things going into law that we've been following up on at a lot of our meetings. So the 23-24 school aid budget was sent to the governor and then signed into law, which included the per pupil foundation increase of 5% to $9,608 per students as a base, and includes free meals for all students, funding for pupil transportation, and increases to at-risk funding, English language learners, special education, and ISDs. So a lot of great things. This is definitely one of the most, I guess, looking at most transitive, changing budget and most progressive budget we've had in a very long time when looking at funding for schools. So it's great news, seeing a lot more resources coming our way, a lot of great things coming as well in the future. And so looking forward, this did also include continued funding for school board training reimbursement. So, it's important that we continue to learn as board members, continue to take MASB classes, so we can continue receiving that award and recognition for making sure that our board is prepared to make the decisions that come before us as a governing body. As more things come up, as legislators are coming out of the summer recess, we're going to see a lot more, so I will keep you updated as more comes up.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rich. Next, we have our superintendent's district update, Dr. Delgado.
Thank you, Dr. Blau, and let me also extend my welcome to everyone in the community to the 2023-24 school year. And, as I was thinking about this, it made me think of Y2K, if we remember that. That was an awful long time ago in the year of 2000, and many of the teachers that we're hiring were born that year. So,
oh my goodness.
It gives us a little reference. So I want to thank all of our teachers and our administrators for incredible summer school programs. Not only did we have academic summer school programs, extended school year for our special education students who were eligible, but we also had Camp Innovation and many different camps and opportunities for students to extend their learning and to have really purposeful days in the summer. So thank you to all of our folks for participating in that. I want to also publicly welcome all of our new teachers. Our cabinet today, this morning, it was this morning, right? Had an opportunity to present to our new teachers. Many of them we hired last year, but we had about 40 individuals in the room, and so we were very excited to welcome them to Farmington. We said that this is your family and this will be your last stop. Whether you're a brand-new teacher, which we had several in the room, or a teacher who was transferring from another district to Farmington, which we had several in the room as well. And so we were proud of that collection of individuals, and they have gone through 2 days of new teacher orientation. So welcome to all of them. While I was at Farmington High School, I saw some of our students who are coming back. They're getting ready for sports, they're getting ready for marching band and the fall musicals, and that's the energy that we love in the buildings. And so we're very, very excited for the beginning of the school year. Mr. Shelton, our Director of Safety and Athletics, last night held his fall coaches meeting in the evening, and so all of our coaches were very complimentary of the fact that we are very proud, with the support of this board, that we are one of the very few districts to eliminate pay to participate for our families. And so not many districts have done that. We're very, very proud of that decision. We know the importance of a connection between athletics and the classroom, and we know that there is a burden on families when we have charged that in the past. So we're very proud of that decision of eliminating pay to participate, and we're hopeful that we'll have increased participation in our sports as well. The next 2 days, we have our leadership team retreat with about 60 leaders, all of our principals, assistant principals, directors, and we continue our visioning and team building for the school year and getting ready, putting the final touches on the school year. And then next week, all of our teachers are back on Monday. We have our Welcome Back celebration at Shiawassee Park on Tuesday, Welcome Back Day on Wednesday, and then the following week, Monday the 28th. Everyone comes back the first day of the school year. So we are ready. We are excited to welcome everybody back, and we're excited to be here with you as well. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Delgado. Next, we have our reports from board committees with Ms. Weems giving us information about the Finance and Facilities Committee. Ms. Weems?
Sure. So the Finance and Facilities Committee met on August 8th. I was in attendance as well as Mrs. Heinrich. Two matters came up for discussion. The first was related to the audit. Planning Mary is our auditor. We discussed the audit process for the year ending June 30th. The auditors went over some required communications, and then they explained the timeline. We're currently in the process of the risk assessment phase. The audit is expected to be completed in the fall of the presentation to come in October. Thank you. Sorry about that. For those who may not have heard, I was discussing Plant Moran and our audit. The audit presentation is expected to come in October. We also reviewed bid package number 10, which is renovations to the new central office, formerly Visions. I won't go into too much detail here because I know we have a presentation on this, but wanted to make sure that everyone was aware that the project team reviewed over 97 bids, which is really good. That means there's some healthy competition and good competitive pricing. We also talked about the schedule for when that work might start. It would start after the Visions program is successfully relocated to Farmington Community School, formerly Farmington Community School, which is anticipated to be towards the end of this year, with renovations to be complete by the summer. There were lots of questions from the committee members, myself and Ms. Heinrich, primarily over cost. We generally tend to have more questions related to costs related to adult space versus student space, and so wanted to understand the rationale and the reasoning. I'm sure we'll be going over some of that today. Also wanted to understand a bit more the facilities plan and the moves and that sort of thing in connection with this recommendation. I think it's important to have that conversation more comprehensively, and so we asked questions related to that, and I'm sure that will come up today, as well as the other costs that may come as a result of making a motion potentially on this matter, which will come at a later date in September. So with that, I will leave the rest of the presentation to the administration. That ends my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Weems. Next, we have discussion items, and first we have the review of bid package number 10, the renovations to the new central office.
Thank you, Dr. Blau, and I'll invite up to the microphone Mr. John Barth and team to talk to us about bid pack number 10.
I'm going to read from a prepared statement. Sorry, I just want to make sure we have all the information for you. For discussion tonight is bid pack 10 as mentioned. It's an award recommendation to renovate a new central office, currently the existing Visions building on Freedom Road. With me tonight is Scott Smith, who you know, and Aaron Phillips from McCarthy and Smith. But before I turn it over to Scott, I want to talk a little bit about the reasoning that we went this direction in terms of right-sizing the district. As you know, our central office building presents a number of challenges. It's small. In fact, if you walk through it, it's like a submarine. I mean, you can't get through that building very easily. Its layout is not conducive to staff interaction or welcoming to parents and visitors. It has approximately 18,000 square feet of usable space for staff, compared to Visions with 24,000 square feet. Mechanical and electrical systems are outdated and constantly in need of repair to maintain heating and cooling. Roofing and paving work is desperately needed. In all honesty, the building is showing at 63 years of age. If we were to stay at central office, we will be required next year to install an elevator, per our state civil rights compliance review last year. This is an ADA requirement with an estimated cost of $400,000. Finally, findings from identified in Plant Moran's 2019 capital assessment plan to renovate central office include building infrastructure improvements totaling $2.8 million, plus additional project costs of $1.7 million. That brings a total renovation cost of central office of $4.5 million. So we looked at all options in terms of whether we stay, whether we renovate that building. Should we renovate that building as old as it is? It has structural issues, and Visions will be open. So in terms of right-sizing the district and using a building that's available, we thought this was the best option. And we got great bids as mentioned. So with that, I'll turn it over to Scott Smith. We'll talk about the process.
Thank you, John, and good evening. Yeah, I think that was an excellent introduction. I think the fact that we're moving over to the Visions program is also simultaneously moving into a more larger space that's more conducive to their growth and their needs as well, leaving this building available, which was desirable for a future central office. So dating back to earlier this year, we obviously went through a design process. We met with John Barth and others from the district to understand what would be required to move this program over. Worked with Wakely Associates and our mechanical and electrical engineers, Peter Basso, and put together a set of documents that we did put out on the streets earlier this fall. Just scroll down a little bit. So we formally put this package together back in later part of June and took bids on July the 18th. And as Ms. Weems said, we got incredible participation. And a lot of this we feel is attributed to the fact that we don't have to do all this work during the summer months when everybody else is most busy. So again, pushing 100 bids for a couple $1 million bid package is extremely good compared to where we've been at prior to this. And we've deemed most of those bids rather successful as well. But to average 4, 5, 6, some cases more bidders per bid category, very good coverage for the district, and I think it translated well into kind of where we're at relative to our budget for this project. I won't dive into too much detail. I will let Aaron again take you through the finer points of the bid, but included with this recommendation are a couple of other smaller projects. Alternate one is the roof replacement. We bid this as an alternate just to see where we were relative to that, but some of the roof reports suggest we're getting up there in age on this roof, and there really is minimal remaining useful life anticipated for this roof. It will start to incur additional repair costs, and this was a great opportunity, quite frankly, to do something while everybody else was out rather than come back and do it in a couple years and inconvenience folks that have moved into that space and typically occupy it throughout the year. Alternates 2 and 3 are related to food service work in coordination with Ms. Davis over at Farmington High School. A large chunk of that is for some kitchen equipment work plus some support trades, and then Lanigan Elementary School work as well. That's increasing that opening and allowing equipment and accessibility into that kitchen to be much improved. We are significantly under budget, about 15%. Here's our budget summary that was put together. So using a budget of $2.5 million, our actual costs are just over $2 million, including the alternate number 1 for the roof work, specifically for the current Visions Unlimited program. We did not initially have budgets for the Farmington High School or Lanigan projects, but felt those could be absorbed within the bond. And then also worked with Angie and Ms. Kaminsky on the equipment specific, which will be funded out of the Nutrition Services Fund, which we have done a little bit throughout this bond as well. So our total recommendation, again, is just under $2.5 million, including a 10% construction contingency, and a little bit of contingency on the nutrition services piece, which we hope we won't need to use. With that, I'd like to welcome Aaron Phillips to the mic to talk about some of the specifics and answer any other questions you guys may have relative to the recommendation.
Good evening. Ms. Weems and Mr. Barth and Mr. Smith really hit the nail on the head already. You've heard the 97 bids a lot today. I want to emphasize what that means. Again, I think you've heard me talk about a funnel of bids. The bigger funnel we can get, the more competitive numbers we receive. Just throwing a couple specifics: 8 masonry bids, 8 metal studs and drywall, 9 painting, 6 plumbing, 6 HVAC, and 11 electrical bids. That's really unheard of at this point in time in the market. So we're really proud of that, those number of bids. So we took a look at alternates, as Scott alluded to. Several were very important, including the roof replacement. We are recommending that that be accepted. It's a good time to replace the roof at this point versus having leaks or new work and then having leaks and then repairing that down the road. So that's the reason for the proposing the accepted alternates there. So again, everyone's pretty much touched on the meat and potatoes of our conversation tonight. So we can certainly help answer any questions you may have.
Ms. Smith?
I don't have a question, but I wanted to make sure it wasn't Angie Smith that sat down, it was Angie Davis. Okay.
That's correct.
There's a lot of Angies around here, so I just want to make sure, let you know it wasn't me.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Any other? Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify some things. So the request that will be coming to us at the next meeting is for roughly $2.5 million to support not just central office, but a few other smaller projects. And specific to central office, the ask is about $2 million compared to, Mr. Barth, I think you said 4.5. Can you remind me, what is the 2.8 and what is the 1.7?
So the 2.8, so the 2.8 million is hard construction costs. The 1.7 million is additional project costs such as permitting, abatement, certain things that aren't normally included. There's contingency included in that. So 1.7, it's a little high, but this is 2019 assessment by Plant Moran in terms of capital needs. So I could break that down for you, you'd like. But it really amounts to additional monies that go toward the construction project.
And is it, I'm trying to do a comparison here. Should I be comparing 2.5 to 2 million or 4.5 to 2 million?
You should compare 4.5.
Okay, because the permitting is included in this 2 million.
If I could just jump in. So I think the best comparison, if you're comparing hard costs, because irrespective of the project, there would be a contingency, there will be design fees, there will be construction, the professional services, we would need to do that. I think, honestly, the best comparison would be the roughly 2.88 that we had in the original 2020 bonds set aside for the central office versus the roughly just over 2 million in the recommendation.
Okay.
I'll call it the hard.
That's helpful. And then neither the 2.8 or the 4.5 include the $400,000 for the elevator. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you. Those are my questions.
Any other questions?
Yes, one more question. So the space here, what is the plan for that space? Do we have a plan for that space yet?
The central office space?
Yes.
We're working on that now. Right now, the general thought is that we take the building down at some point because it'll be abandoned. We'll salvage what we can, right? And part of that building actually is used to retain the wall for the sled hill, for that side of the sled hill. That will stay. So what we're thinking of not using that space, then we'll still have the space for transportation to use to egress buses out. But in terms of the building itself, there's no real value in keeping it. It can't be converted to like a storage space because it's 2 levels. It would be very difficult and very expensive. So likely will come down. The city would probably like that because now you've got additional sled hill space, even with a retaining wall. But that's all to be determined. We're still considering options.
And do we know roughly how much it would cost to demolish the building?
We do not. I know Scott and I were talking about that just now because there's some costs that can't be configured right now. I mentioned there's a retaining wall. That part of that building is holding up that wall, holding up the pavement and the ground above it. So that has to be built. Who's part of the building build that. It's going to be difficult. If I were to guesstimate what that would cost, probably between $300,000 and $500,000.
I'm just trying to get a sense of all-in cost.
Right.
This versus that. Thank you, that's helpful.
No other questions? Thank you very much, gentlemen. All right. Next, we move to public comment. Just a reminder that our board meetings are our only opportunity as a board to meet and do business together, all of us together. And as such, this board meeting is our business meeting held in public for transparency purposes, but it is not a public meeting per se. So while we welcome public comment, we won't be engaging in dialogue here. We are happy, any of us, to schedule time to meet with you for dialogue another time. Mr. Eugene Greenstein.
Good evening, everybody. I think everyone knows that my big issue is objectives and metrics and goals that impact the schools themselves, not homework assignments for the board. So I was very pleased to hear that from Mr. Rich that there's money for training. It would seem to me that this board should have training in establishing measurable, meaningful objectives and goals for the school system. And I think it's very important. I think as Tuesday's meeting, we also recognize that the school system isn't meeting the expectations of the city in terms of academic performance. And so we need some better goals, measurable goals, to provide us a direction that we will meet. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have Kanika Sito.
Good evening. I'll stand to the side because I'm short, and I know you can't see me over this computer. So I'm here today as a citizen, a concerned parent, and a compassionate human. I am here to proactively represent myself as well as many other parents that remain silent but yet concerned. In 2021, 4 children lost their lives at a high school in Oxford, Michigan, due to a deadly school shooting. This incident represented the country's deadliest school-related incident since 2018. This incident, although not in our district, was a stark reminder that more should be done to take action when there are red flags. I am aware that there have been more than one threat of violence at schools in Farmington Hills. I know there are some procedures in place in our district, but I ask you to consider stricter policies and procedures to protect our children in the public school setting. More can be done to be proactive when it comes to safety in public schools and not just reactive. Some districts require clear backpacks. Why do we not? Some districts have metal detectors at entrances. Why do we not? Some districts have on-site security at schools. Why do we not? Some districts have cameras in the buildings. Why do we not? Why don't we have stricter policies and procedures that provide students who show even the smallest red flag of potential violence with mandatory alternative educational pathways, like remote learning? We learned from the recent pandemic that remote learning is a justifiable workaround. Why are we not more proactive to protect our children? I end with this ask, that you consider this scenario. What if your child or a child close to you was seriously injured, perhaps even killed, by the hands of a peer? Would you take a more proactive position and implement policy and procedure to protect all children? Would you push to do more? More could be done in our district to protect our children. So I encourage you to leverage your position to think of what more you can do proactively rather than reactively to protect our children. Thank you.
Next, we have Mr. Bill Lovaway.
Good evening. My comment has to do with our progress, or lack thereof. Farmington Public Schools has made little or no progress towards its goals, and the June 30th, 2023 Goal Progress Report shows declines and disappointing progress. Now that was a 25-minute presentation, and that was worth about 3 minutes of summary, that all we had to know. The board goals, literacy was, for K to 2, was above national norm, and that was a goal, and we had a slight to moderate gains. 3 to 5, at national norm, we have slight gains. 6 to 8 is below national norm, slight gains. Math, K to 2, above the national norm, slight gains. 3 to 5, below national norm, moderate to significant decline. 6 to 8, below the national norms, slight decline. Within that 23-page board presentation, they did not enumerate the number of students who will benefit from the actions. It contains no specific timetables, no indication of what teacher or dollar resources are required or available. Whatever progress is wished for is not measurable. How can Farmington communities hold the board accountable? And part of the problem, I would say, is a lack of communication. But we communicate. It's one way, so it's not a discussion. And last January, when I picked up on the school grades report, and we sat in on a board retreat, I asked for a meeting with the superintendent. Got a note back. It said, it takes time for systemic change to occur, and while we respect your biweekly public comments and periodic emails around the same topic, we are not inclined to dedicate more time to meet with you to reiterate the same information. We are incredibly busy, have much work to do, and will continue forward. We are optimistic that spring testing will demonstrate improvement, and we welcome your public comment congratulating us on our efforts once that occurs. You already know there's no congratulations due, and you're not going to get any from here.
Is there any further public comment? Any further public comment?
Just want to take this time to actually invite up Officer Clark. If he has any public comments to start off our school year, this would be a perfect time for that.
Thank you.
Thank you for keeping me in order. I'm learning. This year, we're looking forward to this year. I have a new partner. I'm introducing my partner, Travis Malott. He will be my new partner as far as Farmington Hills Police, and we will be working with all that we can with the city of Farmington. There's going to be a bit of a shortage from Farmington City, but we're working on now ways in which we can have a mutual agreement whereas I will be able to do more in the city of Farmington, my partner and I, as opposed to just relying on the city of Farmington. I'm not quite sure when that's going to happen, but we're going to cover. We'll make it happen. We'll figure out a way. All right. But other than that, we're looking forward to the year. We've been going to some training through the summer and just waiting on that. Questions?
Yes.
Can you give us a little bit more information? It sounds like we don't have the numbers of policing for the Farmington schools and the schools in Farmington Hills. Is that what you're saying?
No, ma'am. What I'm saying is that we normally have 3 school liaison officers. This year, starting off, we'll only have 2. Those 2 will be coming from Farmington Hills Police Department. The city of Farmington is a little short right now. They're waiting on new hiring, I'm sure, and they're looking to add to their ranks. But at this point, they do not have a school liaison officer. We're looking for ways to cover those areas that their officer normally covers. And we're just waiting on the agreement between the 2 cities. I'm in hopes that that comes soon. Even if it doesn't come soon enough, we're going to do everything we can to protect the children.
So once the city of Farmington, once they have the numbers are like 2 or 3 more police officers, will that then help with the load? Because it sounds like it's a load that you hadn't been doing before.
Farmington Hills doesn't have that issue.
Okay, but we represent Farmington Hills and Farmington.
Yes, we do.
So the concern is, will they have enough police with the city of Farmington, with the schools that are in Farmington?
Ma'am, I can't comment on their numbers. I'm not sure. I'm sure that they would like to have an officer that is assigned as the school liaison. As of right now, they do not. They're looking for ways in which that can happen. What I am saying is that we will be able to assist with that shortage once there's a mutual agreement between the 2 cities as far as jurisdiction and authority.
I can share also. At the meeting, we heard from the Director of Public Safety, who committed to us that they would have rotational law enforcement officers in the schools and responding to all of the calls until they're able to hire. They lost, I believe, 4 officers to retirement just recently.
Yes.
And so once they are fully staffed again, then they'll have a designated person. Obviously, we were appreciative of Detective Kobernick and hope to have her back as well. So, but they're going to do rotational stop-bys and support the schools.
Thank you.
And maybe I should clarify. My understanding is that there will be coverage, just as the doctor said. There will be coverage as far as the safety aspect. But having one person that is dedicated just for that, as of today, they do not. And what I'm saying is that we're going to assist as much as possible in order to fill in that gap.
I get you now, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
Ms. Smith?
Yes, ma'am.
It's that short stuff going on over here. Last Tuesday, we had the board meeting with both cities as our guest. And we were, after that meeting, there were conversations going around in the community. And apparently, I don't know this to be true, so maybe you can clear it up for me, that there was a possible bomb threat at Farmington at one point. And dogs were not allowed to go into the buildings. So could you tell the community that it is safe for our dogs, which is Dozer?
No, we have a new dog.
You got a new one?
Yeah, we have a new dog.
So Dozer is retired?
Yes.
Okay, well,
Dozer's
make
retired,
sure he gets his pension. But at the end of the day,
Yeah.
what I'd like to, and Social Security. So at the end of the day, what I'd like to see, and let the community know as well as my colleagues, that the dogs that you do bring in are officers that are also trained.
Yes.
They are not going to attack a child.
Correct.
They are trained to not, if you got a child that is afraid of dogs, what would you rather do? Have them be afraid of the dog or the fear of a threat of a bomb? Also, to the question that Valerie Knoll, Council Member Valerie Knowles brought up about the safety for our students. Our students, we need our students to be able to feel that, and their parents to feel that, back in my day, you had to hide under a desk for tornado drills or what have you. But now, our students can be, and I hate to say this, but deceased because of gun violence. Is there anything that you all are doing to help our students and train them? Yeah, I know we train our staff with that Alice and everything, but I want to see training for the students. And then let the community know that our dogs, your dogs, are not a threat. I would rather see dogs go into a building when there is a threat, opposed to someone saying that these dogs could make some child afraid. I'd rather a child be safe knowing that you are taking care of our students, opposed to somebody making that decision for you. Thank you.
Thank you. I agree. I'm sorry, was there a question, ma'am?
I was just asking you to, just to handle your business.
Yes.
Ms.
We are.
Heinrich?
The dog that we do have is Ozzy. He is great. He's got a great handler. They're constantly in training. Constantly in training. And I feel completely confident within Ozzy's ability and his handler's ability to handle whatever a canine dog or the canine handler would do. As far as the training for the children, we don't have a whole lot of specific training. It's not like Alice training for the children. We do talk about some things. The teachers themselves talk about some things having to do with concepts of Alice. But we haven't held a specific, correct me if I'm wrong, Doc.
So I can share, and I responded to the councilwoman in the meeting as well. So we are required to have safety drills in schools every single year.
And we
have safety drills which include lockdowns as well as active shooter drills. The concepts that we trained our staff on in Alice are then translated to students in those preparatory drills. And so our administrative teams, for example, give scenarios to students. They learn how to barricade doors with the assistance of SROs and law enforcement officers, but that's routine practice. And so we are training our students, we are preparing our students. With respect to dogs or any other mechanism that the law enforcement officials feel is appropriate, they can avail themselves of any of their resources. There has been no prohibition of dogs or any other access that law enforcement can utilize to respond to any of the threats. We're proud of the partnership with both Farmington and Farmington Hills police departments, and they have done an incredible job of training, preparation, and active threat assessment in partnership with our administration on threats that we receive. And we're like many high schools where we receive periodic threats. Fortunately, they have been non-credible, but nonetheless, every single one follows the same protocol in partnership with our wonderful SROs. So we are prepared, your students are safe, and we will continue to keep them safe.
If I may add to that, whenever those drills come around, usually an SLO, SRO is also there so that we can make comments on how the drill went. The principals contact us all the time when they are holding their scheduled drills. Many of those drills are not, the students don't know about it, so we can see their reaction. And we can also see staff's reaction on what they're doing at that time. The drills are different. An active shooter drill is not the same as a fire drill, which is not the same as probably preparing for some type of a natural disaster drill. But we have attended those as well. So we're partnering and we're there. I enjoy the drills because it gives people at least an idea of what to do, even for the littlest, the youngest of our students, as well as to our seniors. Question? Yes, ma'am.
Just listening to your comments, I know Farmington and Farmington Hills are two cities, but we're one school district. So
Yes.
is your jurisdiction for Farmington Hills limited to the schools that are in the hills, or do you serve the entire school district?
My jurisdiction is Farmington Hills.
Right,
We have
okay.
had a agreement that we have worked on for quite some time, whereas it's mutual aid. If Farmington City needs some help, we are there. If we need help, Farmington City has been there. The mutual agreement it's been great. It works great. I didn't even know of it until I came to Farmington Hills, and I am very proud of that. It's very nice to know that the next city is right there anytime that we need them.
All right, because I'm just thinking Farmington High School is in the city and North Farmington is in the hills.
Yes.
But you're a liaison and you go into both buildings. I guess that's where my question is.
I understand. And that will be, I'm in hopes, handled through an actual document. But right now, it's a mutual agreement that we've been
Okay.
helping out.
So you're a liaison to all the buildings, not just the ones in the hills,
My jurisdiction is Farmington Hills.
right?
If I need something because
Point of-
something happens,
Point of clarification, just the word jurisdiction means very specific things in the legal aspect, but due to the mutual agreement between the two cities, he is able to, and our SROs are able to be in all of our buildings and things like that, and working on having an actual document as a legal and binding document is separate, but it's something that's being worked on. But they are able to do the whole district.
Well, and that was my point, because your job is, as a police officer, but it's being present in the buildings and building relationships with the students. And so that's what I'm trying to hear, that you're building relationships in all the buildings.
in all the buildings.
That's it, okay.
Okay, I'm
So
sorry, I
thank you.
wasn't sure that
So
was
thanks
your
for
question.
clarifying that.
Yes, ma'am, and thank you, Mr. Rich.
Can we just go over a little bit about the program that I think was talked about in terms of students being trained? Where are we with that? I didn't quite get that. And if there is a training model, is that done specifically for K through 12th grade students?
Point of order.
Yes.
This would be a great thing to put as a future agenda item for us to discuss at a future meeting, so that we can make sure that we have all of the information, but this is not the point.
Right, this is public, this is supposed to be public.
Yeah, this is supposed to be,
So we're-
I'm just giving an update.
Okay, sorry.
But.
But we can add that for a
definitely good
future
thing for
agenda.
later.
Okay, we'll add it then. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay,
Officer Clark.
thank you very much.
Yes. Okay. Mr. Mintz, thank you for your patience.
You're all right, don't even worry. So I was at the last meeting, we did everybody, the city and both cities. And when the police were talking, he just brought up a good point about, we're going to move police officers if there's an active shooter, if there's this problem. Something worries me about that. Even if you have one officer in each school, I don't think that's effective enough. And here's what I'm getting at. The police can handle all the paperwork, whatever needs to be done. We have plenty of veterans out there who need work. I honest to God think we should have some veterans at the doors and helping do security. Because I would say arm the staff, but I know what kind of answer that's going to get. When you go through all these trainings, they're excellent. But when you have someone coming in trying to shoot, what are you going to do? You're just going to stand there and be a body shield or stand there and cry about it? Some of these people need to learn how to at least handle a pistol. God forbid, if the staff should be allowed to arm themselves with a permit and be allowed, because I'm going to tell you, there's not many police in some of these schools. I get really nervous for these students. You've already seen what happened in Uvalde and other areas. when the police actually prevented the guy and the parents from going in and stopping the guy. I'm sorry, I just think we need to have a little more security in these schools. I know you lock down the doors, because I've done deliveries, and that's the best thing, but frankly, there's a lot of ammunition and weapons that can kick in the door, that can break through the glass. So all I'm asking is maybe just a little more security, maybe one or two veterans at each school just to watch the doors and watch out for the students as well. That's it.
Thank you, sir. Is there any further public comment? Any additional public comment? Seeing no further public comment is now closed. Thank you. Next, we have items from our treasurer. Ms. Weems?
I move that the Board of Education approve the expenditures as outlined in the expenditure printout dated August 15, 2023 as follows. From the general fund, $21,542,830. From athletics, $158,108. From the debt fund, $500. From the 2018 bond fund, $1,803,579. From the 2020 bond fund, $5,811,708. From the 23 bond fund, $33,500. Nutrition services, $222,640. From the benefit stabilization fund, $2,519,032, for a total of $32,091,897.
Support.
Is there any discussion? Okay, roll call.
Ms. Fox?
Yes.
Ms. Weems?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Heinrich?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Dr. Blau?
Yes,
Motion passes.
thank you. Next, we have our consent agenda. Security infrastructure upgrade is first. Yes.
Motion for the whole consent agenda.
Oh, okay. Yep, sorry about that. We also have the approval of the minutes from our June 20th, 2023 regular meeting and some personnel items. Yes, go ahead, thank you.
I move that the consent agenda, security infrastructure upgrade, approval of minutes, June 2023 regular meeting, and personnel items be approved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Heinrich for approval of the consent agenda, seconded by Ms. Weems. All in favor?
Discussion.
Oh, discussion, sorry. Is there any discussion? Seeing none? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Thank you. Moving on to reports from board representatives. I don't know that any of us have any reports yet because the year hasn't quite yet begun. All right, we'll look forward to those. Recommendations for future agenda items. Ms. Fox, I can add a more extensive report from our SROs for agenda items.
Yes, thank you.
Dr. Blau?
Yes.
Mr. Shelton, our Director of Safety, was already prepared at your discretion to present a safety update in one of the 2 September meetings. So that's a presentation he's already preparing. So just let us know when you'd like him to come back, and he'll give an overview of all of the training and the safety infrastructure upgrades.
That would be helpful.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you. Any other recommendations for future agenda items? All right, thank you. Good and welfare. Yes, Ms. Weems.
Just hope that everybody's had a great summer, and I hope that that summer for some of our young people included lots of learning. I know that the district had a lot of great programming over the summer, including the camps and summer school, which was great. I had the opportunity to visit Lanigan to see firsthand some of the work that they were doing. Very, very nice presentation. Community members were involved, and parents got to come and see their kids, what they were up to for the summer. I learned a lot about composting. I learned a lot about healthy snacks and smoothies and that sort of thing. And I also got to pick from the garden at Lanigan and actually make dinner from the Lanigan Garden. So there are several of our schools that have that outdoor garden type of programming, which I'm really, really proud of, and allow community members to go and shop for fresh produce. So it was very good, very yummy, and I would recommend that if you live close to a school that you stop by.
Thank you, Ms. Weems. Yes, Ms. Smith.
I want to welcome everyone coming back, our students. Hope everybody had a great summer. I have been working very hard with FAPN and our community library, and I know this is nonpartisan, but I'm also working with the DIM Club on doing a literacy meeting in September. And then I will be reaching out to the Republican Party and doing the same. At the end of the day, I have reached out to the Farmington Hills City Council because I'm a Hills girl. And they too will be doing some volunteering and helping with our tutoring throughout the school year for FAPN. And we've been having long conversations. Also, I've had the conversations with mayors and both mayors and city councils. And this is welfare, but not good. There was some feedback that they were not happy with the word joint, because this was not a joint meeting, this was a board meeting. And it was not televised for people to see what was going on. So, and their part of the agenda was cut out. And so I think that in the future, we should have a meeting in a mutual ground, because from my understanding, the words were used, our house, our agenda, and our meeting. So in the future, let's hold a meeting in a mutual ground so that everyone will be able to have a voice. And again, thank you for everyone coming out that evening, and have a good year.
For point of clarification, that is not correct information. This was a joint meeting. I myself met together with both mayors prior to the meeting. An agenda was sent way ahead of time. It was actually the same agenda that we had for our January meeting. It was snowed out. The agenda was not changed. In fact, there was pressure from one of the cities to change the agenda at the last minute. And we did not change the agenda because it was the agenda we had shared with the community and with both mayors and city councils ahead of time. So it was a joint meeting. All of the initiatives that were discussed were part of the original conversation that Ms. Smith, Ms. Fox, and I had with Councilwoman Bolaware and Councilman Michael Bridges back last summer, just a casual conversation that we had following the Memorial Day parade, which was the impetus for us having this, return to these joint meetings. And in the conversation that we had at the American Legion that day, Mr. Bridges had talked about resuming these meetings so we could build relationships and maintain open lines of communication between our three organizational boards. And from all of the, in all of the emails back and forth between our three organizations, the goals were clearly stated. The goal is for the Board of Education and the City Council members to get to know each other and find avenues of overlap to support one another. And it was made clear again when I met with the two mayors that that was the goal, and that all three groups would have an opportunity to sit at dinner and dialogue together, get to know one another, build some new relationships, and then at the meeting, we would each share what our current initiatives are, and then have some brainstorming around what our areas of overlap might be in supporting each other's initiatives for the coming year. Those goals did not change from the conversation that the three of us had with Ms. Bolaware and Mr. Bridges back in the summer of 2022, all the way through all of the communications, all the way through, again, the agenda that we used was the same agenda that we had put together for the January meeting, and it did not change at all. And I'm happy to share copies of any of these agendas with anyone who would like to contact me. So I just wanted to clarify that it was a joint meeting, and we did stay true to the goals and objectives as determined by all three organizations throughout the entire process. The one thing that we would not do, we would not cave to pressure to change the agenda the day before and the night before, despite pressure from external pressure. Yes, Ms. Fox?
You know, I'm just a bit frustrated with all of this, because in my mind, the purpose of this is for what? It's for our kids. And now we're here, we got this on this side, and we got this on this side. We're talking about this stuff, and we're talking about this stuff, and now we're not talking about kids.
That's right.
And so whether if there was a little bit of this on this side and a little, let's just let it go.
I agree.
Because this is about our kids.
I agree.
And what I would love to see, a collaboration between the city and the school board to make it even stronger for our kids. So please, let's just let it go. Thank you.
I also agree with Ms. Fox. I have been privy to the information and a copy of how that agenda had been changed. Both cities were censored, and that was not an open...
Ms. Fox, you are not correct.
And first of all, I'm Ms. Smith, and if you would read the Robert's Rules of Order, which you have checked me on a couple of times, your job and your role is the chair. So please allow me to speak, because I also know that you attended classes in Utica and asked the state to figure out how to censor the board and keep us out of schools. So please allow me to finish. So on that note,
What?
I am saying...
I've never been to
you were at the board retreat on Friday, and you just said it. So again, to keep from interrupting, at the end of the day, those two cities, as well as those mayors, were disrespected. You had lunch with them and met with them for 2 hours to change that agenda, to not discuss anything.
I'm sorry, your information is incorrect.
Excuse me, and I'm not going to ask you that again. At the end of the day, you changed that agenda and did not talk to anyone about that.
That is not correct.
You told...
This is the agenda. This was the agenda. And
Excuse
Angie,
me, Dr. Blau.
No, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Dr.
Elizabeth,
Blau.
I will not allow you to continue to lie.
But, you know, these are no lies, ma'am.
Yes, they are.
They are not any lies. I've had conversations with city managers. I have had...
Your
We are
information
here-
is incorrect, Ms.
So
Smith.
you gonna tell me, everybody on both cities gonna call me a liar? At the end of the day,
Ms.
this
Smith,
is
I'm
our
not saying
role.
anything about
We
you.
are
What I'm
here-
telling you is that your information
We are here to
is
take care of children. You told both mayors, and that this was your meeting.
We are
your agenda.
terminating this conversation.
Okay, well, you know
and I
what?
can have a conversation
I won't
privately
be,
later.
because you text me as well.
Ms. Smith,
Dr.
we are
Blau,
moving on
Dr.
with
Blau, you
our
should be
meeting.
ashamed as an educator.
Ms. Smith.
We were elected
Ms.
for
Smith.
the betterment of the children,
We are
to take
done.
care of these
This
children.
meeting has been adjourned.
I know it has, because you did the same thing with the city council as well.